Hey, what is going on everyone? Welcome back to another Clash Royale video. How are you guys doing today? Hope this video finds you all doing well, and folks, today we're going to be tackling the newest update inside of Clash Royale. So where do I even start with all of this? This update was pretty darn huge, and there were so many changes that really came with it. Some of them more well known and anticipated than others, and well, you get the idea. A few of them might have been brushed under the rug there. So anyways, the main topics that I'm going to be discussing in today's video are going to consist of the Cod Standardization, the trade tokens, bonus gold, new collection day game modes, the Goblin Giant, and last but not least, the new tournament system. So, well, not really tournament systems, but you get the idea here. So anyways, to start things off, I'm going to be talking about the Cod Standardization. So this was the most obvious change inside of the game next to trade tokens. So this whole concept of Cod Standardization was thought up in order to make it very clear to all players who are just starting off in the game for the very first time, or maybe those who are still learning the fundamentals, to be able to better grasp the true strengths of each card regardless of their rarities or their inherent levels. Now, in order to do this, we would have seen that Supercell did a cosmetic change where all cards of different rarities would have differing unlockable levels. That is, the levels which they start with, but they would all be capped off at level 9 for tournament standard, and they would all be maxed out at level 13. Now, the actual strengths of every card and their respective upgrade costs have not been altered at all, so this really just boils down to a change of the visual aesthetics. So a good example of this would be a comparison between a level 6 knight and that of a level 6 prince. Now, despite the fact that the knight would be a common card whereas the prince would be an epic, both of these cards being level 6 now would suggest that their strengths are somewhat similar, or at least they're in the same league as one another in terms of raw power. Now, most senior players like myself may have initially been a bit disheartened when we saw these changes go down before we really got to grasp an understanding of just why it was done and how exactly it would help. But even after this, there was still one tiny problem, and that would be that we would have to familiarize ourselves with these new levels once again. So with that being said, I still do support Supercell's decision to change these levels and stuff, although it does annoy me a lot because a number of the replays I tend to share on my channel here will appear as outdated when I do cover them, because you won't be seeing the same card levels as you would nowadays compared to when those recordings were taken. So yeah, I'll still be putting on those replays in some videos between some of the other uploads I have in mind to publish if I can help it. Now, with that out of the way, we can now shift the focus onto the concept of trade tokens. So the trade token system allows for us players to gather more cards on a regular basis despite us having to put up with the game's card distribution mechanics, sifting through shop offers for the specific cards being sold, grinding requests that would usually yield just commons and rares, and on Sundays we'll also get those 4 epics from one of your card requests on that given day, and also you get that 5th random epic from the shop for absolutely free. So anyways, like I was saying, the trade token system will allow us players to really focus on the cards we truly desire most and upgrade them at a much faster rate. So the trade tokens can be acquired via special challenges such as the recently concluded Giant Goblin Draft Challenge that you would have seen went by, and also from occasional shop offers, which I would hope would sell these tokens for gold and not just gems, unless the gem cost is pretty low. Otherwise, I'd probably pass up on that shop offer myself. So anyways, in addition to this, you'll also have the chance to acquire tokens via clan wars, but we'll delve into that in just a little bit. So when you're using your trade tokens, you'll notice that only one token is needed per trade, and that all players can have a maximum of 5 trade tokens for every rarity. So this is just done so that players can't just keep on hoarding an insane amount of tokens to cash in all at once. Now, I am not really certain of why Supercell decided to cap it off, but I trust their instincts on this particular choice of theirs. So anyways, when you're trading your cards and tokens, you'll notice that you can trade your clanmates for either 250 commons, 50 rares, 10 epics or 1 legendary card at a time. And if you change your mind about a trade offering that you're covering with your coin as well, or token, you can always revoke that trade and reclaim both your token and the offered cards. So the trade token system will effectively allow us to trade with our clanmates and work towards upgrading all of the cards that we love most. Now with that being said there folks, this would be most useful in particular for leveling up legendary cards and epics. And additionally, the cards that you can request via these trades can only be obtained if you have been in the arena that the cards are offered in as a random drop, or if you've already obtained them from maybe a special event even though you're an arena or two below. So with that being said there folks, generally you'll be able to only request cards that you have in your collection already or that you're in the arena for. So anyways, with that being said, I have one other thing that I need to say, and that is that if you've only just unlocked a legendary card, you cannot trade that very first card from your stack, but rather you would need to wait until you get a second copy of that card to offer in any trade. So the same thing could be said for any given card that you have at level 1 that you have yet to acquire enough cards to trade while still maintaining a single copy in your collection. So generally speaking, if you won't have a single card left after the trade and your card is still level 1, you won't be able to trade any of those cards like that. So anyways, moving on now. If you and a clanmate or friend are planning to take part in some trading, you'll probably find it interesting to note that you would have a 15-minute cooldown between the trades if you are the one who is accepting the trade without spending a token. And additionally, if you're looking to join someone else's clan for the sake of trading, you'll have to probably wait a 2.5 hour or maybe 3 hour cooldown before you can even begin to accept any other trades. So yeah, if you're planning to trade with friends, you'd probably want to join up their clan as soon as possible if you happen to not be a member of the same clan as them. Also, if you haven't tried it out already, make sure you check out the Spartan Elite Energy Drink. I'll have a link to their website in my pinned comment and description down below, and using my discount code you can get a sizable discount off of your next purchase. So anyways, moving on now. One thing I think you guys should take note of is that by introducing this system to the game, the dev team pretty much intended to give players a chance to get their epics and legendary card levels upgraded at a much faster rate, so that players out there can use them on ladder more often, because as you would all know by now, the vast majority of players out there are usually forced to use decks which consist mainly of commons and rares, and as a result, we should expect to see a greater number of players across the board using just a tad more epics and possibly legendary cards in their decks, for without this system in place, we would not be able to enjoy the benefits of gathering specific cards of any rarity so that we can upgrade them for use in ladder. Now anyways, trade tokens will now be available in the shop via special offers, like I said, from time to time, and I'm really hoping that they cost gold. Most likely they'll cost gems, but aside from shop offers, the challenges that come up from time to time, I'm talking about those special challenges, may yield trade tokens as well through milestone rewards. Now, another thing that you guys should take note of is the fact that they have changed how rewards work where clan wars are concerned. So before the update, you would normally just get a handful of gold for your collection day battles and your war day battles. Now you'll still be getting your collection day battles immediately, but this time around you'll be having to wait until the war ends to claim your victory gold. But in addition to this, you'll also be obtaining a set amount of gold based on your clan's rank in that particular war, and to top it all off, you'll get a chance to either get bonus gold, so that's a chance to get a really decent sum of gold at the end of every single war, or alternatively, you may stand the chance of getting a free trade token. So basically, they're allowing us to really feel rewarded after every clan war. So no longer will we just be subjected to just a little bit of gold for our troubles, but now we have the chance to earn free trade tokens. So I find that really great for those of us who are free to play in the community out there, and I really think that was a great touch overall. So anyways, our next topic of discussion is going to be related to the changing of the game modes in clan wars. So the collection day game modes have changed up quite a bit now, so the new game modes that you'll be seeing available are going to be 2v2 draft, double elixir draft, triple elixir, and also a revamped or at least updated classic deck challenge, which may include some decks which feature the new Goblin Giant that were really what the dev team felt would be great decks that may become meta for using the Goblin Giant. Anyways, aside from that, there's some of the older decks that we would be accustomed to in the classic deck challenges may have also gotten a slight tweak here and there so that they accommodate a few different cards. So more than likely when you go into a classic deck challenge next, not every single deck will be exactly the same as you remembered it before. At least that's the case with Three Musketeers for sure. I noticed they had Giant Snowball in there. I'm not really a big fan of the Giant Snowball in the Three Musketeer decks, but I appreciate them trying to shake things up a bit, though I still prefer the version with Zap or maybe at least Log. Anyways, up next on our list is going to be the new Jolly Green Giant, the Goblin Giant. So this epic costs 6 elixir and serves as the latest addition to the available win conditions for players to make use of inside of Clash Royale. He functions similarly to the regular Giant, but there are of course a few notable differences between these two cards, one of which would include the fact that the Giant Goblin would be moving at a medium move speed, whereas the regular Giant moves at a slow move speed. The Goblin Giant also costs 1 more elixir, he has half as much HP as the Giant, and he also does a modest amount of damage, but again, it's still much less than the Giant himself. Now, despite having lower stats by himself and costing 1 more elixir, the Goblin Giant actually does come with its own unique abilities or mechanics. When this card is deployed, he spawns in with 2 Spear Goblins riding up on his back, and these 2 Spear Goblins cannot be touched at all until the Goblin Giant himself goes down in combat. Now, this mechanic functions very similarly to that of the Battle Ram, where you have 2 Barbarians that come out with the card and are immune to all damage so long as their Battle Ram is up top on them there. So basically, as long as the Goblin Giant is alive, these Spear Goblins cannot be harmed. Now, I do understand that people can compare this card concept to that of Rascals, but again, he still has that unique ability to protect his Spear Goblin brothers from damage until he goes down there. So it's pretty unique in itself there. And the Spear Goblins, while they're on his back, they have a 360-degree sight range like any troop does, but of course they're attached to the Goblin Giant, so wherever he goes, they go too, and they'll be locking onto whatever troops or buildings are closest to him, helping out along the way. And one other thing that I wanted to just point out there for a second here is that you can in fact use this new card to kite troops into the opposite lane just like you would with any Ice Golem, but you'll also have the Spear Goblins on its back as well. So while you're kiting troops into the opposite lane, not only will you have the Crown Towers laying into whatever troop you're kiting, but you'll also have the help from the Spear Goblins, who again cannot be touched until the Goblin Giant goes down in battle. So overall, I would have to say that this card may resemble that of Rascals to many, but its ability to shield the Spear Goblins until the Goblin himself goes down, the Giant Goblin that is what really makes this card truly unique. I think this card may be useful at Tournament Standard in some specific decks, but I don't necessarily think that he will find a spot in too many archetypes overall out there, because I can imagine that a number of people may not feel like he's that versatile. While he may be a great card for 6 elixir and he does add a slightly different mechanic to the game, or dynamic really, he still may just fall into some niche archetypes overall, such as hybrid decks. Like people who would be playing Giant Miner a lot, they may consider using him because he comes with his own support for just 1 extra elixir, and then you can send a Miner up front for those Spear Goblins just before he dies, like you would with a Lava Hound maybe there, and have the Miner tank for the Spear Goblins while they do a lot of DPS on the towers there. So that's just my take on the card overall. What do you guys think? Do you think that this card is going to be very viable in a lot of decks? What do you all think? Let me know your thoughts with a comment down below. I'm really eager to hear what you all have to say about this new card in the game right now. And now we're almost at the end of today's video here, but before we wrap things up officially, I just want to make mention of 2 miscellaneous features that also came with this update, and one of which will be already well known by now, but the other one not so much. So anyways, the first of these 2 things would be that you now have the ability to react in chats with the emotes that you have unlocked. So you'll be able to have some more good fun with your clanmates overall, and just be able to make better use of the emotes besides in game itself when you're playing a match. Now, if you don't have access to any new emotes, you can still use the default ones as well. They still do the job, but personally I still like using my Hog Rider emotes any day. So anyways, moving on now, our next miscellaneous feature would be that players would now have the option to join in tournaments which cost 10 gems to enter that actually yield no prize at all. Now, to many this may seem like a really silly idea and a waste of time and gems overall, but it actually does serve a purpose to an extent. It allows players to buy into a cheap tournament where they can compete under the same conditions that you would with actual real high stakes tournaments like those that are hosted by CWA and other personalities out there. You can just have a feel of what it's like to play in a competitive environment, at least something that's pretty close to it anyways. Now, personally speaking, I would be more inclined to spend my gems in classic challenges if anything, but if you really need the practice for some upcoming tournaments that you're getting involved in and you can't seem to find access to any other tournaments in the meantime, then I'm pretty sure you'll definitely appreciate this new feature. So anyways, this concludes our look at the newest update. So right now we're just left with some regular gameplay here that I took during the challenge. I eventually won the challenge on my third account. However, when I first tried out the challenge on my main account, for some reason I could not seem to have any luck whatsoever. So yeah, basically I tried out the challenge a few times, and would you believe it, I actually lost at 3 wins several times. So I got discouraged, stopped for a while, and then eventually when I switched over to my third account, I got 12 wins in one go. Now I'm really not sure why, but some of the matchmaking was seriously crappy for me overall, because like I'd have this matchup where I was versus someone who had P.E.K.K.A, 3 Musketeers, and Clone. I mean, I did give them the Clone, but there were no cards that I could use to distract the P.E.K.K.A properly. There were no cards to burn down the P.E.K.K.A. There were no heavy spells, no splashers. What the heck was I really supposed to do there, folks? So anyways, while we're looking at this leftover gameplay here, I just want to talk about a few things here before we wrap things up for good. And one of these things would be that last season, I actually managed to push to Master 1. So like I said in my last video here, I will be trying my best to cover my road to Master 1. So I hope you guys look forward to that little mini series there. I was really excited pushing up there, but again, it was a lot of stress to get to that point there, because again, the people up at Master 1 were pretty difficult for me to fight overall, and a lot of the matches that I encountered were against really hard counters. Like I'd go against P.E.K.K.A, Executioner, Valkyrie, you name it, Mega Knight. All the cards that would counter my Witch basically were always present in any given match, so it was really hell pushing up, but I did manage to hit there with a solid amount of trophies. I think I ended up on 5,000 and maybe 26 trophies or 27. I'm not really sure exactly. You can check my profile out on Stats Royale if you want to see the exact number, but yeah, I'm just really satisfied that I attained this new personal best and that I can continue pushing onward in other seasons without worrying about actually having, you know, pretty mediocre stats for my time playing the game and just overall knowledge. And like I said in my channel update video recently, I'm going to be a bit busier in real life overall, so I'm just really glad that I got this milestone out of the way so that when real life has me more preoccupied doing other things, I can rest easy knowing that I already attained my milestone accomplishment for quite a while really. So I'm just banking on maxing my giant and some other cards in my deck, especially now that the trade token feature is implemented. If you have any tokens, and I know you already, feel free to DM me and we can probably work out some trades. I'll be glad to trade any of you out there for some giants, witches, poisons, and of course I'm going to be chasing after minor cards as well. So with that being said there folks, I'd just like to send a special shout out to my friends Tigger and Lemmy for trading cards with me on short notice to get some cards that I really wanted overall. And also special shout out to all my clanmates in both the Trini family clans that I am in and also the Nova Creators clan, as well as our feeder clan Nova Streamers. So if you guys are interested in joining, you can check us out on Discord. I'll leave a link to our Discord server in the pinned comments down below. So if you got what it takes, feel free to try out for either one of our clans. So with that being said there, thank you all so much for spending some time with me here today, and as always folks, remember, if you keep on digging, you'll eventually strike gold, but even then, keep on digging deeper. You'll eventually come across something even more worth your while. So once again everyone, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you all in my next video. Peace out guys.